finally dope to meet you, bro.
It's finally dope, man. We're finally here, man.
That's what's
It's
up.
been, it's, yeah, it's been years, man. Like I think like 2 years since we started the conversations.
Did the conversation start 2 years ago? Wow.
Actually, there's a time we started and we broke up a bit, and then we picked it up. I think a couple of months, and then like a year after or something like that.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
So it's been a while.
You do it like this. Yeah, get us like that. Yeah. Yeah. Now make sure I'm pronouncing your name right. Robah.
Yeah, it's Robah. Yeah, Robah Kshaka. Kshaka actually is a short of my group. We used to rap in a group called Kalamashaka.
Okay.
So like it's the short of Kalamashaka. And then Robah is my name. So it's Robah from Kshaka.
Okay, Shock. Tell me about the
So
group.
but pardon?
Tell me about the group. Where it came from.
Actually we come from one of the marginalized areas in Nairobi. It's called Dandora. It's like it's an area prone with crime and all that.
Okay.
So actually, Kalamashaka describes like the struggles. Kalamashaka actually is a Swahili, so Swahili name, which means we've been through struggles and all that. So it's basically about the neighborhood we come from. It's called Dandora.
Gotcha. That's dope.
So yeah, but I think Kalamashaka basically it's one of the pioneers of Kenyan hip hop.
Okay.
So for in the late 90s, I think we came up with one of the biggest hits in East Africa. It was called Tafsirihi, 98, around 98.
Wow.
As,
88.
as Yeah, 98 as Kalamashaka.
Gotcha.
Yeah, then after that, I think it brought some sort of like a cultural revolution where everybody wanted to rap in the way we used to rap. Like we used to rap in Sheng. Sheng is like a mixture of Swahili and English. It's just like a street language.
Okay.
Yeah, then telling our stories, like where the neighborhood where we're coming from, and then the social and political struggles just in Kenya and all that in Africa, basically.
Wow.
Yeah, so it became sort of a movement after that because now everybody wanted to rap using Sheng or using that kind of style. So it became kind of a movement where there's a collective which came out of it. It became big, like in East Africa, and then also now, like everybody nowadays now, like every rap associate which is coming from Kenya or East Africa, they use like Swahili, that kind of Swahili we started way back in 98.
Wow. 88. Wow.
Yeah,
That's
98.
around the time I got started. I
Okay, that's interesting. When did you start?
I got started. I w- I started breaking.
Okay.
I started
Break
breakdancing
dancing.
early 80s. I mean, I knew about hip hop from my cousins in New York who used to come
Okay.
stay with us in the summers, even in the
Okay.
late 70s. I'd say mid 70s, late 70s. That's when I found out about what was going on up there through my cousins who would come stay with us,
That
you know,
that's
in
interesting.
Cleveland. I'm originally born in Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay.
But my father is from West Virginia, and we moved to West Virginia in '78.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even back then, my cousins were coming to Cleveland to visit us, and they would tell us
Okay.
about what was going on in New York
Yeah, that's
with hip
that's
hop.
dope.
My cousins were rhyming. They were rhyming. One of my cousins was doing graffiti.
That's
Um,
great. That's dope.
and then when we moved to West Virginia,
That's
um,
great.
my cousins still came down, so my cousins would come visit us in West Virginia when we moved to West Virginia, and my education of hip hop was going on, was continuing then. But I started my own break dance crew. I was always a dancer, man. Even before hip hop, I was into music. Like I was always dancing.
Yeah.
But yeah, but like I started my break dance crew. I want to say that had to be 80, 81, something like that.
Yeah.
I
That's dope.
didn't do my music. I didn't get into the music till about I'd say 89 when I started doing music myself.
I think it's also almost the same story because, like, personally, I got introduced to hip hop through breakdance.
Okay.
but I never used to dance. But the breakdance was big in the 80s. And then most of the crew, most of the biggest dance crews used to come from my neighborhood. So I used to follow them a lot and all that. So basically, I got interested into hip hop through breakdancing. But I came, but now through rapping is in the mid-90s. That's when I started rapping.
Okay.
Yeah. But basically, through the cultures was introduced in the 80s through breakdance and all that.
Yes, very. Yeah, we
Yeah.
got similar paths, my brother.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
It
I
is.
think it's just the culture worldwide.
If, before we move further, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for doing this with me, bro.
Yeah,
This was something I wanted to do, and the fact that we pulled this off through Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp is pretty incredible, especially for someone my age. So
yeah, yeah. I understand. I understand fully. But thank you as well. It's something like I've been doing like this kind of collabos before. There's a project I worked with. I think with Dead Prez. You know Dead Prez?
hell yeah, I know Del Press. Excuse my language, but yes, yes, Dead Press for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, an exchange we did and then it blew a little bit. It went into a documentary. I think you can check it out later. But then when I heard about you, I was thinking along the same lines because I knew there's like a power in this kind of collaborations and linking up.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So when I heard about Dave talk about you, I was like, hey man, this could be like a good opportunity to pull one of those kind of collabos. I think yeah.
I've
But I
already
think for
seen.
me also I appreciate a lot because now based on the fact that you have your schedule down there also, and then and the time you gave, like you gave you gave everything, in terms of mixing, mastering, in terms of like just following up the videos and all that. I also appreciate a lot for that.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
The
Hmm.
video has had a good impact, man.
Yeah, man.
it's had a really good. It's really getting good feedback. I've seen
Yeah,
some people inspired and motivated by the content.
yeah, for sure. The same for me. I've been getting like personally for people, just people from the streets, like personally some of the old school fans. I've been checking music for a while, so they're treating it they're treating it like a kind of a comeback. They're like, hey, you back in the game? I'm like, yeah, no, it's like some of the projects I'm trying to pull off, but it's getting like a positive reviews so far.
I agree. Same here. Same here.
Yeah, it's getting positive reviews.
How has hip hop evolved, and how has it shaped the social, economic, and political narrative in your community?
Yeah, yeah, that's I think it's a nice one because I think well, like I said before, I'm one of the pioneers of the culture here in Kenya.
Hmm.
And then when it started language, I think it's part of a culture. It's one of the elements of culture. So when we started like rapping in our own on our own language, I think we used to rap in English before, but when it started brought the element of language, it brought like a kind of like a cultural shift in terms like a sort of a cultural revolution.
Okay.
So socially, I think I can say that it gave the voice it kind of gave a voice to the voiceless, and then also it sparked some sort of like a community empowerment from where I come from. And then economically, I can say there's no like industry like basically before '98. Then it sparked an alternative to creating opportunities through the creative economy. Nowadays, we have like streaming, branding, brand partnerships with corporates.
Mm.
People do events, performances. People sell merchandise, and then it has given a lot of youth a lot of opportunities in terms of we got producers, we got sound engineers who do the events. We got people just sell merchandise. So a lot of youth. I think it gave like an alternative opportunity to most of, especially for the disenfranchised urban youth. And then politically, I think some of our songs were kind of political. I think that time the regime that time there was so much like a back and forth in terms of people needed like a change and that kind of stuff. So I think some of our songs like really gave a voice to the political scenario. And from there, I think it brought like a kind of shift into how people use music. I think it became like an activism kind of thing. People now start using music as a way of like activism and trying to like voice their voices when it comes to anything political.
Dope, dope. I can relate to that,
Yeah, yeah,
especially when you say voice of the voiceless, because
yeah,
we're going through a thing, here in my area with Appalachian hip
yeah,
hop. We started making this music when I came back here in West Virginia. I
yeah,
left when I graduated, high school, and went to go on to be a full-time broke musician.
yeah,
I did
yeah,
that.
for
I did all
sure.
that through the 90s. But when I came back here in
Yeah,
99 to actually create music with my brother, in this area, he's known as 66240. Um, and I came back here. He just graduated from high school in 98. And in 99, I was
yeah,
like, yo, he's super. My brother, nice on the mic, yo. He nice with that. His pen game is stupid. So, like,
yeah,
I was like, I came back here to work with him. But the one thing we saw here was that there was no self-pride, there was low self-esteem. Um,
yeah,
these kids didn't have nothing when it came to talking about who your favorite athlete or your favorite celebrity or your favorite hip hop person and
yeah,
being and that conversation sprouting out of West Virginia. Those kids from West Virginia really didn't have no one to look up to. It was always somebody
yeah.
from New York or somebody from LA. It was just they didn't have nothing of their own. So we made a conscious effort to make music for this area, give these kids something to talk about, give them something to be
That's dope,
proud
man.
about. Right.
That's
So
dope.
we called it 304 Recons. 304 Recons was the group of the name of the group that we did. But 304 was the area code of West Virginia. So just off the
Hmm.
bat saying the name, we started talking about things that we lived in that were unique to our area, which was like living in hollers, living in trailer
Yeah,
parks, the poverty that comes with living in at that time was our state, West Virginia, was the last state for the worst poverty and education. So, we just we had a conscious effort for that and we saw impact with that. And I'm a child of the Black Arts Movement. My father, Norman Jordan, um, the Black Arts Movement came out of the Civil Rights Movement. And when my father
of
was a
course. That's,
teenager in Cleveland, Ohio, he was a part of that movement. So I've always seen activism and art all my life. I've always seen that. So yeah, being a voice for the voiceless, that's always been the code. But this year, Appalachian hip hop has kind of like had a highlight. People have been looking out for it and embracing the term. Just understanding that kind of goes against the stereotype of Appalachia. When most people thought of Appalachia, they thought of just like hillbillies and rednecks and
yeah,
a racist vibe, but there's all kind of arts and subculture art coming out of West Virginia and in the Appalachians. So, economically, I can't say in my community I've seen it have impact, but I see it heading that direction. I see
that's
that.
that's good.
I see it heading that way. And politically, man, I go off the song we just did. Like, I mean, I definitely could go to other things, but I just think about I've been reading some of these people, what we're going through here in this country right now, what me and you talked about in this video and in this song, a lot of people are relating and it's kind of like it's very relevant to what's going on in the times in our country right now.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I,
All
I
right.
think I think also like economically, I can say like we are there yet.
Yeah.
It's only that those are kind of like opportunities like that could exist in the industry, but I think things are looking up. Like if you look back, like in the 90s, I think there's nothing like hip hop. Like you couldn't think of maybe a couple of DJs and there, But now you think that there's a scene. There's a couple of artists who are breaking it big. A couple of artists who are getting endorsements through corporate and all that. But I think there's been a major shift from when we started. Because when we started, just like it's like we just creating like creating an industry which never existed before, especially with my group Kalamashaka.
Yes, can relate to that, bro. And still
Yeah,
create.
yeah,
And we still
yeah.
create. It's
That
still
we're still creating.
yes, yes. And before I forget,
Yeah.
please send me the link to the documentary with you and Dead Prez. I would love to include that with this.
Oh, okay. I'll check it out. It's called Akati, but I'll check out like the official links, and then I can send. I
Yeah, if
can
you could
link
send me
you up.
the if you could send me the video link to any of the video, the collaboration of the song, the documentary, that'd be dope.
Okay, cool. I will link you up.
All right, how did you get into hip hop, bro?
Basically, I think like I said before, in the 80s, like I fell in love with the breakdowns, the culture, and all that. But now, come in the mid 80s, that's when like I started. Like, I got in touch with the music. I remember I bought my first tape. Those days, we used to listen to tapes and all that,
Okay.
like cassettes. So I bought my first cassette. It was like the Chronic, like by Dr. Dre. I think mid 90s over there. Then I started like getting a lot of like I used to have a friend from the States who used to like send us like tapes which had like Wu-Tang Clan, the EPMD, Redman, but a lot of like East Coast New York kind of vibe, Helter Skelter, a lot
Mhm.
of underground stuff. So
Yes.
that's when like I became like interested. But we used to then also like we used to listen to NWA, like even like music from way back. But
Uh-huh.
then we got like influenced with a lot of 90s music. But then from there, then there's a few clubs which I used to play like hip hop, like underground hip hop. So we used to frequent it. Then they started like doing like a lot of talent searches around those clubs, like open mic, ciphers, and those kind of things. So that's how I got interested. Started like doing competitions, just in local clubs, and then all of a sudden, then we just got interested into the recording part of it.
Hmm.
Yeah. So basically, just from the clubs and all that.
Got you, got you. Your first tape was
Yeah.
Dre's The Chronic, huh?
Yeah, the Chronic was like the first music I ever bought in my life.
Wow.
Like Dr. Dre. Yeah, yeah.
That's a
The
good one.
Chronic album.
Hey, if
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
gonna be the first one, you picked a good one, brother.
yeah. So that's like that's how I got the influence of like from the Chronic. Now I used to follow like where Dre came from, the NWA, then of course like Public Enemy also. Those kind of
Yes.
that time was like political messaging and all that. That's why I got inspired even to like do like let me call it just conscious kind of music, kind of hip hop. that's
Right.
that's how that's how we got our inspiration from a lot of 90s hip hop.
Got you, got
Yeah,
you.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, like I said earlier, my cousins the ones who put me onto it. But
Yeah.
when you started, the 90s is when that's really when I'm hands on. I'm really working on my craft. I'm really working
Wow,
on my
that's
craft at that
great, man.
time. I
Yeah.
actually released a vocal album back then in 91, 92. I didn't like the way
Okay.
my voice sounded. So the next 10 to 15 years, I just I just did beats. I just did beats.
Okay.
I just got back on this mic, man, probably about 3, 4 years ago. I've been
Wow, that's
yeah,
interesting.
I've been doing beats and managing artists and promoting but it was mainly about the music, the beat production for me for a long time.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. How has
That's
hip
interesting.
what's that?
That's interesting. That's cool, man. That's dope.
How has hip hop served as a tool for community building in your opinion?
I think hip hop is not just the music. I think hip hop is a tool of. I think if you listen to hip hop and like other genres, I think it comes with a lot of information. It comes with a lot of education. It comes with a lot of communication part of it. So for me, I think I think it's the biggest movement in terms of a musical movement. There's no music which has like that kind of like a movement kind of scenario. So for me, I think from that, since it can be used to pass information, create awareness around issues, and it can also be used to educate the people. Uh, I think it's a powerful tool. But for my personal journey, I think when it became big around '98, after that, a lot of youth wanted to be part of the culture, and where we come from, the a lot of like a lot of crime, a lot of youth who are disenfranchised. So we used basically hip hop as a tool of like empowering communities. Personally, I've started initiatives
Mm,
on film,
mhm.
on media, community radio stations, and all that. And then where I come from nowadays, there's like a lot of organizations like organizing and creating like opportunities, just through mainly hip hop, through dance, through music, through doing awareness, this kind of stuff. So basically, I think it's a powerful tool. And of late, people now are even using it just to empower even economically. So for me, I think it's not just the music. I think it's a powerful culture which can bring change in communities, and it has done in my community. I've seen firsthand. I've seen it firsthand.
Agreed. Agreed.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Very
yeah,
similar. Very similar. I think what I've seen is is the kids, like I said, there's coming from the areas that I'm actually in West Virginia.
yeah,
It's a lot of kids grow up like I can't wait to leave this place. I can't wait.
yeah,
There's no opportunity here.
yeah,
There's no chance for real growth here.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I think when they see artists being creative and releasing projects, they go, "Oh yeah, I can do that from here. I don't need to
yeah, for sure.
wait to leave to be active or be creative or have artistic expression." So
Yeah, for sure.
yes, I've seen the power of music, period, but definitely hip hop among
Yeah,
artists in my community and give them inspiration and motivation to let them know, hey,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, for sure.
something dope can come from this area. Another thing,
Yeah, for sure.
another thing I've seen too, and I think we both can relate to this, is also the ageism that comes with hip hop. Because
Yeah, for sure.
that's first of all, let me just say for the record, I'm gonna look into the camera when I say this. Ageism in hip hop is some bullshit
Yeah,
because it's the only trade where years of mastering your craft is not recognized. You know what I'm
for
saying?
sure, for
Yeah,
sure.
it's we teach our kids in anything. The more you do it, the better you get at it. In my country, it just seems like, with the major record labels, there's an agenda to weaponize our art form. It's like they try to use hip hop with overblown on sex, whether it's gang violence. You know what it is. It just seems like they weaponize our art form to use it
Yeah,
against our communities when that's not how it was used. That's why when we did the video, it was very important for me to wear that Public Enemy shirt because it was like, I was trying to be subliminal, like, yeah, we conscious all around and you can do it like
yeah.
this. But yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think it's almost the same narrative, man.
Yeah, same
Yeah,
old. And that's crazy because that's what we were trying when we first started brainstorming on this song, like
yeah, for
how
sure. I
we were going to
remember.
approach it. I was like, I think we both said we like let's try to show what even though we're hundreds and thousands of miles apart,
Yeah, for
that
sure.
us as black people are going through the
Yeah,
same
for
thing.
sure. Yeah, for sure. I remember. Yeah, we brainstormed around those. Like
Yeah,
we needed to come with like things like really connected both our stories.
we pulled that off, bro. We definitely pulled
Yeah, yeah. It was great. It was great. It was nice.
that. Yeah.
It was great. It was great. It was my own. It's an honor even. It
Tell me
is.
this:
It is. Yeah.
who in your community has had a positive impact on you being an artist?
Uh, just like for the inspiration part of it, I can say a lot because being one of the pioneers, I think they're not, especially when it comes to hip hop, they're not, they're, not many people are doing it. Like, no people are rapping that kind of stuff. But I can give it up for uh, the people who I grew up with. Some of the people who like we used to rap with. I think there's two of my partners. There's one called Johnny. There's another called Kamau, and then also like most of the DJs at that time. I think they used to encourage us a lot in terms of giving us motivation to participate in those talent searches. And some of them used to come from our neighborhood. So I can pinpoint like this like one guy. I think basically we are part of like building the culture. So there are not like really a lot of rappers to look at for inspiration from our hood or from the whole scenario.
Got you. Got you.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah, as being pioneers is yeah,
Yeah,
being the first to
yeah,
do it. Yeah,
yeah.
I have to say mine was my father. My
Oh,
father.
that's dope, man.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
dope.
My just
That's dope.
he taught by example, but also
Yeah,
like
that's dope.
he always encouraged me. One thing, and
That's dope.
I have to plug this because it's coming up. My family does an art camp. We do an art camp. We've been doing it for almost 40 years now. You know,
That's
and we
amazing,
do it.
man.
We do it. It'll be in July, the second week of July. We do it at West Virginia State University, which is a black
Yeah,
university here in West Virginia. Um,
yeah.
and but it's an
That's
art
dope,
camp.
man.
It's an art
That's
camp.
dope.
Kids come stay a whole week. They stay overnight. They pick a discipline, whether it's songwriting, dancing, hip hop, music
That's dope,
vocal,
man.
music instrumental, creative writing, visual
That's dope.
arts, theater, and they choose one of those disciplines. And then that whole week, we have instructors who instruct them. And then at the end of the week, we put on a showcase. And that has had a lot of impact on kids, what I'm saying, through decades. I known kids that I went to my camp at this high, and now they kids are coming to our camp. So that yeah, it's just I've seen my parents do it, both my mother and my father. I've seen my parents just be involved in our community through the arts. So it just naturally came to me that way.
Yeah, man. That's dope, man.
Yeah, I
You know, for us guys, like our parents never used to encourage like art. You know, like art never appreciated. It just got started like getting appreciation, not just even for the parents, but the whole society had a stigma around art and especially hip hop. So I think we found our way like just to do it without like the support from parents and all that. But the whole thing has really shifted.
Yeah, and we had that
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
I just
mhm.
and my parents would have been considered hippies, you know. Yeah,
Yeah. That's
like
dope,
my
man.
grandparent, my uncles and my grandmas, they wasn't feeling it. I just got
Yeah,
lucky. I just got lucky with my parents.
that's dope, man. That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah. All right,
That's dope.
let me see what we got next. Okay,
Yeah.
how do you bring hip hop into academia spaces, and what has the reception been?
I think that's what I'm trying to do at the moment. But then I think like I said before, hip hop has never been accepted. It's slowly being accepted at the moment, just as an art form, one or anything serious. But then through the academia, we've had people who've used like music to do theses, university theses. A couple of people who are hip hop scholars, both in Kenya and abroad. But then in schools and all that, I think there's little which has been done. At the moment, I'm doing some partnerships with some rappers from Atlanta. They're called Metafest. I don't know if you heard of MF Doom.
Mm,
MF Doom is like a
yes,
is a guy who's from New York. I think New York or something.
yes,
And
yes. MF Doom for sure.
yeah, so they have like the brother is running a program. It's called Metafest Academy. So we're trying to put up a little bit one or two things into the academia spaces. But then in terms of like just being accepted, like maybe unlike there in the US, people we have scholars like KRS-One, we have like people like Lupe, people like who really teach it in the university at that level. In Kenya, we just like a couple of lecturers who do like theses or study and that kind of stuff. So it's still a challenge, but then we're trying to break through and see like if we can create like some kind of like a kind of like a separate stream of hip hop
Dope,
as
dope.
well.
That's dope.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah.
dope. Yeah, you naming all my idols of MF Doom, KRS-One, Loop. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a project you're working with the brother. I think they have like he started like a movement called Metaface. Now they started like a sort of like an academy. So we
Yes.
do at the moment just doing mentorships in the hood with the kids and all that. But we're trying to see how we can institutionalize the whole movement also as well, and be part of a curriculum. There's a proposal I sent to the governor. Our governor from Nairobi used to be a rapper.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's into rap a lot. So we've been trying to mop in to bring me in also, and trying to see if we can get into schools like and get into like now like a formal. But now just at the moment it's just like on a street level and just a mentorship and those kind of things.
That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And I know here in the States we got D1. I forget what D. I think D1 teaches out of Harvard. And I know
Yeah,
Ninth Wonder is down at um I forget. It's one of those North Carolina schools. But yeah.
yeah,
But here personally, I have to that's one thing I have to give my university a little credit from. Even she's not here anymore, but there was a poet but professor. She taught here at the university, West Virginia University. Her name was Amy Alvarez, and she actually had a
yeah,
hip hop 101 class. And
yeah. That's
that was
interesting.
very dope. She brought me in a couple times to talk to their class. The
That's
Apple
dope.
the Appalachian I was part of an Appalachian compilation album this year. Appalachian hip hop compilation, which just
Yeah, that's dope.
showcased artists from different parts of Appalachia, and it got some good feedback. But my school brought artists from that compilation in to perform and do a roundtable about hip hop community and then Appalachia, and that was very dope. I have to give some props to the School of Eberly College. Eberly College, they put that on as part of their Eberly College roundtable, and
Yeah,
I have I think academia is starting to see the importance of conscious hip hop. You know,
yeah,
like I said, at a point, and there's still, like I said, mainstream and commercialized. I personally feel there's agenda to suppress conscious hip hop. They don't want that. You know,
yeah. It's true.
I've I've kind of felt like, the commercialization of hip hop in my country. I mean, I always tell this story. I remember, you might remember this too, when MTV Raps, where we used to get KRS-One, Poor Righteous Teachers, Public Enemy,
Yeah,
Paris,
yeah,
different people who talked about consciousness and
yeah.
positive hip hop, and then one day it was gone. They they no
I,
longer.
I, I think there was an era. I think there was an era. I think like hip hop has evolved, and I think there was an era where consciousness was coming up and was like almost taking over the whole thing. But I think for me, I think there was like I think there's something was done on purpose just to shut like a couple of conscious rappers at a point who were trying to bring a lot of black consciousness out there.
Yeah.
Because there's a time like there are a lot of rappers are coming up like consciously. There's an era, but all
Yes.
of a sudden, all of a sudden, then it went down like yeah, it's like they were shut from the whole scenario. Then the whole bling bling era came in. The
Right.
whole thing like now became like really commercialized, and it affected also like here in Kenya. Like
Right.
when a certain era came, and then all of a sudden, conscious hip hop was like it took a backseat. It wasn't being played anymore on radio. It happened to us even like we started becoming stereotyped or profiled. Like some of the music, like people started like profiling some stations and all the kind of stuff. So I think there's like I don't know if it was on purpose, but I think there's a shift from the conscious rap. But I think it's coming in another way.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
hope
yeah,
so.
yeah, yeah. Especially with the internet now, people are free to just. There's no like mainstream and gatekeepers of the culture anymore.
Yeah, well, that mainstream here still is very it has a big reach. It's still strong.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Uh-huh.
Is there a creative community where you are now, like a community of creatives who get together?
Yeah, like basically, I think we laid down a blueprint once we came, like when we came in '98. We started like using hip hop as a way of organizing the communities, as a way of empowering the youth and all that. So basically, I've done a lot of initiatives in terms of some on film, some on radio. I've done like projects just to empower, like compilation albums, setting up studios for the kids and all that. Where I come from, I think they call it like sort of a mecca. It's called Andorra, the mecca of like Nairobi hip hop. There
Okay.
are a lot of activities. There are a couple of organizations like youth-led initiatives where the youth organize themselves and create organizations. They get like a little bit of funding from donors from the government to get like their art going. So I think it has become an alternative to community organization. I mean, mobilizing and organization. So I think it's quite vibrant, especially where I come from in my neighborhood. It's called Andorra.
That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, I live in an area in Morgantown, West Virginia, where there's always been a dope music scene here. Um, I did, but there's definitely a lot of outlets for creative building, creative community. So yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I feel lucky to live in a place like Morgantown where there's so many different,
yeah,
not just hip hop. There's all kind of forms of people who want to get involved and also
yeah,
and be there for our kids. You know,
yeah, for sure.
what lessons from our individual journeys in hip hop, education, and community organizing can we merge to create future impactful joint projects?
Uh, I think for me, I think I just it's just from what we discussed before. I think there's a lot of power in hip hop, and in terms of being like one of the pioneers, having led like being the forefront of like creating these initiatives and all that. I believe like in the power of collaborations and all that. So of course it will depend with time also, time as a resource also and all that. But still like I know that there's some areas people where we can merge a few things in there and see how we can maybe just do some future projects in terms, especially when it comes to documentation. I think it's quite powerful. I've done that before, like the documentary I was telling you about with Dead Prayers. It really opened up the whole game, not only in Kenya but in East Africa. So and then also like a lot of documentation hasn't been done in terms of especially here in Kenya and East Africa in terms of the power of hip hop as a tool of empowerment. So I think basically what I've learned along all those years is like hip hop could be used like a power just to holistically empower socially, economically, and even politically if need be.
Yeah. I I agree with all that. I think
Yeah, 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 yeah.
in this journey that because I turn 59 next month.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I'm almost on the fifth floor. I'm turning 49, I think,
Okay.
In July.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
in my 58 years of journey, well, I think one of the important things to do now,
yeah,
and I that I had to fight with, and because I'm human, and I have self-conscious issues like any human would have. I
yeah,
think us OGs have to keep doing it, man. What I saw was like I kept trying to pass the torch
yeah, for sure.
to a younger artist, right? And
Yeah,
they don't know what we know. You know what I'm saying? And
it's true. It's true.
if we're not active, it it's easier for them to tune us out. But when they see us active
Yeah, it's true.
and doing stuff,
Yeah,
they're more intrigued. I've seen that. I've always felt like, I was
yeah,
like, let
yeah,
me get
yeah,
out
for
of
sure.
these, let me get
Mm-hmm.
out. There was a part of me that was like, it's their time. It's their time. Let me get out of their way. And I went through a couple of decades of me just trying to
Yeah, for sure.
pass this torch, but it would never
Yeah, for sure, for sure, for
build
sure.
in a direction that had longevity to it. And ever since I've gotten more out front with the art and became more active as an artist and and kind of switched from being a support system to being an artist, I think I'm getting more done as an artist. I think I'm having more impact as an artist. I'm able to create more opportunities as an artist.
Yeah,
Other younger
yeah,
artists
yeah,
are
for
more
sure.
intrigued and more open for discussion and education
Yeah, for sure.
as me as an artist.
Yeah,
So I that's kind of like
yeah,
I've kind of pushed, and then I'm up for this fight against ageism in hip hop because it makes no sense because some of
yeah,
my favorite artists aren't putting out music because they probably feel the same way I felt like it's a young man's game, but it's really not. It's a dope artist game, and what's dope is
yeah,
what's dope. And
yeah, it's true.
some of us feel like it's a young man's game, or we're not relevant, or no one wants to hear older art, but that's not true. And I think that's being proven. And I think that the way we can have impact
Yeah, for sure,
is for
for sure, for sure.
us OGs to stay active, get back there and show
Yeah, yeah,
and be show by example, as also keep our hands in the community, keep mentoring these young
yeah,
artists, keep
yeah,
inspiring and helping and supporting young artists. Always,
yeah, for sure,
that's
for
by
sure.
code. But I think we're going to get more buy-in from younger artists when they see us active.
True that, true that, true that, true that. That's what I've been like trying to get into, especially the mentorships and all that. So just like not like a formal education, but just trying to get into that, especially when it comes to areas in mental health and drug addiction and crime, because like those are quite prevalent in my neighborhood. So apart from just the music, I've been embarking on some of these things. They're slow at the moment, but I think I hope like as time goes by, I think that just pick up and be like kind of like a way of like passing the torch also to the younger generations.
No doubt, no doubt. Because the future are the kids
Yeah,
are the
yeah,
future.
yeah, yeah.
Children are the future. And it's like
Yeah, for sure,
Wu
for
Tang loves
sure.
the kids.
You're
All
welcome.
right, tell me this, Robert. Do you believe music has power?
Yeah, music has power. Like if you look at hip hop, I think uh, if people would have organized them on a political front, I think it would have been like the biggest movement and the biggest political movement. But then, if you look at hip hop again from another perspective, it has really empowered not not just in America, but also like in Africa in terms of like creating opportunities for the disenfranchised and all that kind of stuff. So I think, and also socially, it has been used like a way of like empowering communities and all that. So for me, music has power, and especially so hip hop has a lot of power to bring change and to change communities and people also.
Now, how do we ensure that this collaboration doesn't end with us, but becomes a model that empowers future generations of artists, educators, and activists?
I think that would just depend with us also. I know you have a busy schedule. I have a schedule as well, but I think if you create like a small but impactful, maybe this kind of sessions, probably a documentary where we can document some of our stories and some of your stories also. Small things here and there, which doesn't have to take a lot of your time and resources. I think we can create a more impactful ways of just trying to see how we can do up just apart from the music to take yeah, exactly. That's my thought.
I was already thinking of definitely future collabs, but a documentary collaboration would be dope. I wanted to.
I was thinking of that as well. When you did that documentary with Dead Prez, I think then they happened to it sparked like a sort of like a global like in Africa, East Africa. They came down to Africa through that documentary. It was sponsored by a university, I think in the States. But then the impact also like in terms of just telling the stories, in terms of understanding the culture more, in terms of education, in terms of even just creating opportunities as well.
I agree. I like that.
Yeah.
You got my brain. You got my brain bubbling right now. I'm like, okay. I wasn't even thinking like that. I like that idea. We're gonna make that happen, bro. We're gonna make that happen. We're
We
gonna
can
make
do
that
that.
happen.
We can do that. And another thing my brother keeps on telling me, but my brother is like, hey, we need to see you in Africa, man.
I'm coming. I'm coming, man. I haven't made that trip yet, man, and it's my goal to take my wife and my mom for us to make that trip together, and my son. But my son, he
Yeah,
works so hard.
yeah,
But yes, I think another way. I was gonna say I love the documentary thing. We're gonna make that happen.
yeah,
But another small, I think easy thing for us to do to keep this going
yeah,
is for us to do another collaboration song, but
exactly.
bring in another artist from our area.
That's dope as well. Because I have a whole army of new cat artists. Like they're dope, man. And they're like, hey, how can we be part of this also as well?
Let's
They'll
keep
be
that thing
excited.
going and try to introduce a new artist every time we do our redo our collab. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, before we know, we could have like a whole EP or something. Because now like I've been mentoring a lot of artists. Some of them are quite dope, and they'll be like, yeah, they might be interested to be part of this whole thing.
Oh,
So
well,
it becomes
damn.
not just us, yeah, just open up to our communities as well.
I could definitely do that. I could definitely do that on my end too. We could do an EP showcasing artists from both our communities and collaborating together.
Yeah, that could be dope as well.
Yeah. I don't think like the way we just did it, the way we just did our collaboration, that was not hard at all, man. Now that we
Yeah,
now
yeah,
that we have done it, now that we have done
yeah,
it and we've seen all the steps,
yeah,
doing that again won't be a problem. Well,
yeah, for sure,
Robert, this has
for
been dope,
sure.
brother. This has been dope. Once
It's
again, thank you for doing this, man. Doing this
yeah. Thanks a lot.
collaboration.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, big shout
I
out.
appreciate as well.
Yes, and shout out to the ones who had the vision for it, David, your brother David,
Yeah,
and
for
James
sure.
Seville.
My brother will be excited about this.
Tell your brother I said,
Salute, man. Salute.
tell your brother I said, what's up?
Yeah, salute, man. Salute.
Salute.
Yeah, man. For sure, for sure.
All right, fam. Take care.
Yeah, take care, bro. Take care. Thanks a lot.
Oh man, thank you. Thank you.